The events of this story unfold about a week and a half after our annual 4th of July picnic, a tradition we've upheld for years in our spacious backyard. Every summer, we host a grand gathering for the entire neighborhood, inviting everyone, even those who usually keep to themselves. It's always a night filled with laughter, delicious food, and the warmth of community. This year was no different. The picnic had been a great success, leaving us with the satisfying afterglow of yet another well-hosted event. Now, just a few days later, it was a quiet Sunday afternoon. My wife, Becky, and I had spent the morning running errands, shopping, and enjoying lunch at the mall before heading home. With no further plans for the day, I had envisioned a lazy afternoon stretched out on the sofa, immersing myself in a good movie or a game, savoring the slow rhythm of a well-earned weekend. But just as I was settling in, the doorbell rang. I groaned inwardly, reluctant to leave my comfortable spot. But before I could get up, Becky was already at the door, curiosity lighting up her face. I followed her, wondering who would visit us unannounced. As she opened the door, I was surprised to see Mark Diaz standing on our porch. He and his wife Lisa had attended our picnic, though outside of neighborhood events, we didn't interact much. They were always friendly and sociable, but I had never felt entirely at ease around them. Mark and Lisa were known to be part of a swingers club in town, a lifestyle choice that, while I held no ill will against, I personally neither understood nor approved of. As a result, our relationship had remained polite but distant. Yet here he was, standing on my porch, hands in his pockets, a casual smile on his face, as if he had all the time in the world. We weren't accustomed to unexpected visitors, so I couldn't help but wonder what had brought him here. Becky, ever the gracious hostess, welcomed him inside before I could say anything. Not wanting to appear rude, I followed her lead, guiding him into the living room and offering him a seat. He settled in easily, making himself comfortable, while Becky asked if he'd like a beer. That surprised me. We never kept beer or alcohol at home. If guests wanted drinks, they usually brought their own, or I made a quick trip to the store nearby. Yet Becky had offered it without hesitation. And what was even more puzzling was that she promptly returned with 2 beers. One for Mark and, to my astonishment, one for me. I accepted it with a quiet nod, still processing the unexpected situation. Becky sat down next to me, something she rarely did when we had male guests over. Normally, she'd leave me to handle the conversation, but today, her posture was engaged, her expression a mix of interest and unease. It made me uneasy too. Mark wasted no time. "Alex," he said, smiling, "I'm sure you've heard the rumors about Lisa and me." I opened my mouth to offer a diplomatic response, to brush aside the neighborhood gossip, but he continued before I could speak. "The rumors are true. Lisa and I are part of a swingers club, and we've been active in it for a year now. To be honest, it's been incredible for us. We love each other deeply, and it's added a whole new dimension to our relationship. We always agree, we're completely transparent, and it has brought us even closer together. Every time we come back from the club, we feel more in love than ever." His words caught me off guard. It's not every day that a neighbor shares something so deeply personal, so intimate, without the slightest hesitation. I turned instinctively toward Becky, trying to gauge her reaction. Her expression was unreadable, but there was something in her eyes, a kind of quiet contemplation that unsettled me. This was not the relaxing Sunday I had planned. "Mark," I said, my tone firmer than I intended, "I don't need to hear the details of your personal life. Frankly, I'm not interested. Is there another reason you're here?" Mark raised his hands slightly in a placating gesture. "Alex, calm down. I didn't come here to upset you." "Then why did you come?" My patience was wearing thin. Mark hesitated, then finally spoke. "Okay. Becky found us at the picnic and asked us a few questions. That's all." His words hit me like a lightning bolt. I turned sharply toward Becky, stunned. She met my gaze, a faint coy smile on her lips, her cheeks slightly flushed. Becky and I had married in our early 30s. Before her, I had lived the life of a content bachelor, never seriously considering settling down. She had been engaged once before, but her fiancé had left her upon discovering she couldn't have children. When I met her, none of that had mattered. I loved her deeply, And the idea of having children was never a condition for my happiness. She was all I needed. But now, here I was, sitting in my own living room, trying to comprehend what Mark had just revealed. Mark's voice pulled me back. Don't look so shocked, Alex. A lot of married couples explore this kind of thing. For Lisa and me, it's actually strengthened our relationship. I looked at Becky, searching for clarity. Are you not happy with me? My voice betrayed my hurt and confusion. She reached out, placing her hand over mine, her tone gentle, reassuring. Darling, of course, I'm happy with you. She hesitated, glancing briefly at Mark before continuing. It's just, it might be fun to try something different. Just for sex. That's all. Can't you see? It doesn't mean we don't love each other. It might even make our marriage stronger. Her words struck me like a punch to the gut. Before I could process what she had just said, Mark leaned forward, his tone smooth, persuasive. Alex, think of it this way. But I wasn't listening anymore. The lazy Sunday afternoon I had envisioned was gone. In its place, a storm I had never seen coming was brewing, and I had no idea where it would take us. The summer had settled into its slow golden rhythm, a week and a half passing since the annual 4th of July picnic. Every year, it was a highlight of the season, a grand affair held in our spacious backyard, a tradition where the entire neighborhood gathered, even those who rarely mingled. The air was always filled with laughter, the scent of grilled food, and the easy comfort of familiar faces. This year had been no different. The event had been a success, another warm memory added to the collection. A few days later, on a quiet Sunday afternoon, my wife, Becky, and I found ourselves with no pressing plans. The morning had been spent running errands, wandering through the mall, indulging in a leisurely lunch. By the time we returned home, I was looking forward to a well-earned afternoon of rest, sprawled on the sofa, a game or a movie on TV, sinking into the kind of stillness that made weekends feel complete. But just as I was getting comfortable, the doorbell rang. I exhaled in mild frustration, reluctant to move, but Becky was already on her feet, her curiosity piqued. I followed her, wondering who could be dropping by unannounced. When she opened the door, I was surprised to see Mark Diaz standing there. Mark and his wife Lisa had attended our picnic. They were friendly, sociable people, always pleasant at neighborhood events. But we had little interaction outside those gatherings. There was a distance between us, an unspoken boundary I had drawn for reasons I never fully examined. Until now, Mark and Lisa were known to be part of a swingers club in town. Something I neither judged nor understood, but it was enough to keep me from forming any real connection with them. And yet, here he was, standing on my porch with a relaxed smile, as if he had all the time in the world. Unexpected visits were rare, and I couldn't help but wonder why he had come. Becky welcomed him warmly, inviting him inside before I could say a word. Not wanting to appear rude, I followed her lead, motioning for him to sit in the living room. Then Becky did something that caught me off guard. She offered him a beer. We never kept alcohol in the house. If friends wanted to drink, they knew to bring their own, or I'd make a quick trip to the store. Yet here she was effortlessly retrieving 2 beers, one for Mark and surprisingly one for me. I accepted it, puzzled but silent. What unsettled me more was Becky's posture as she sat beside me. Normally, she would leave me to handle conversations with our male guests. But today, she was fully engaged, leaning forward, her expression intent. Mark wasted no time. Alex, he began, smiling. I'm sure you've heard the rumors about Lisa and me. I opened my mouth to say something dismissive, something tactful, but he pressed on. The rumors are true. Lisa and I are part of a swingers club, and we've been active in it for a year now. It's been incredible for us. We love each other deeply, and it's strengthened our marriage in ways we never expected. We're completely transparent, always in agreement. Every time we come back from the club, we feel more in love than ever. His words landed with an unexpected weight. It wasn't every day that a neighbor openly shared something so intimate. I turned to Becky, searching for her reaction, and what I saw disturbed me. A quiet, thoughtful expression, unreadable yet unmistakably engaged. This was not the relaxing Sunday I had planned. Mark, I said, my voice firm, I don't need to hear the details of your personal life. Frankly, I'm not interested. Is there another reason you're here? Mark raised his hands slightly, a gesture of peace. Alex, I didn't come here to upset you. Then why did you come? My patience was thinning. Mark hesitated, then answered. Becky found us at the picnic and asked us a few questions. That's all. The words hit me like a shockwave. I turned to Becky stunned. She met my gaze, her cheeks slightly flushed, a coy smile lingering at the edges of her lips. I had never considered anything other than complete devotion in our marriage. Before Becky, I had been a content bachelor, never in a rush to settle down. She had once been engaged, but when her fiancé discovered she couldn't have children, he had left. None of that had mattered to me. I loved her, wholly and unconditionally. The idea of children had never defined my happiness, she had. But now, sitting in my own living room, I struggled to grasp what Mark had just revealed. Mark continued, his voice smooth, persuasive. Don't look so shocked, Alex. A lot of married couples explore this. For Lisa and me, it's been a way to strengthen our relationship. I turned to Becky, needing clarity. Are you not happy with me? My voice carried the weight of my confusion, my hurt. She reached for my hand, her touch gentle. Darling, of course I'm happy with you. She hesitated, stealing a glance at Mark before continuing. It's just it might be fun to try something different. Just for sex. That's all. Can't you see? It doesn't mean we don't love each other. It might even make our marriage stronger. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. Mark leaned forward, trying to frame it differently. Think of it like dancing. If Becky loves to dance but only knows one kind, wouldn't you want her to dance with other partners, to learn new steps, to fully enjoy it? Without hesitation, I responded. No, Mark. If Becky wants to learn new dance moves, I want her to teach me, so we can enjoy dancing together. Mark leaned back, momentarily stunned. Becky squeezed my hand, but I couldn't tell if it was a silent apology or something else. The tension was thick, and it was clear. I wasn't buying into this. Mark sighed, recognizing defeat. He glanced at Becky, who looked disappointed, then forced a smile. Standing, he extended his hand toward me. Don't take it personally. I didn't shake it. My anger burned too hot. I'll see you to the door, I said coldly, moving between him and Becky. The moment he crossed the threshold, I shut the door behind him, my pulse thundering. Turning back, I found Becky standing with her arms crossed. You didn't have to be rude, she said defensively. How long have you been fantasizing about sleeping with other men? I demanded. Her eyes widened. I haven't done anything, Alex. I thought someone with experience could explain it better. That's all. She turned toward the kitchen, throwing a careless goodbye over her shoulder. But I wasn't pretending this hadn't happened. I went upstairs and began packing. When Becky found me, suitcase nearly full, her face crumpled in shock and panic. What are you doing? She choked. I'm making it easier for you to have sex with as many men as you want. Tears welled up instantly. Don't do this. Don't leave me. Her sobs filled the room, but my resolve was firm. Becky, in 7 years of marriage, I have never once considered being with another woman. Do you know why? Because I take my vows seriously. She pleaded, but I knew the truth. Sometimes, what people think matters just as much as what they do. The divorce was painful, but necessary. She fought it, begged for reconciliation, but I remained unmoved. Months later, I found peace in a quiet farmhouse, far from the city, far from betrayal. Alone but content. Because love without honor and respect has no foundation. And without a foundation, there is nothing to build on.